can't believe it's April 13th. All right, we're live on YouTube, setting it up on Facebook. I believe that our live feed is active to the website and to Fios and Optimum. We are live on Facebook. I'm starting the Zoom recording and also our internal recording. I believe we're all here. Give me 1 second. Let me just check with Ron.
Seems to be working, Doug.
All right, Mayor, you are free to start the meeting.
Nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Here.
Councilman Began.
Here.
Councilwoman Organ.
Here.
Councilman Kaplan.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Here.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 226-2020, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2021 by way of resolution number 111-2020, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Doug, and good evening, everybody. Tonight's announcements. Township Administration present at tonight's meeting. Dean Kaczynski, our Township Manager. Doug Roussillon, Township Clerk. Clarence Barnes, Building Maintenance Worker. Ron Goodman, Volunteer Extraordinaire Cablecaster. And John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen and Carvelli. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, April 27th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Please be reminded that attendance to the municipal building is by appointment only until further notice. The council met in closed session this evening to discuss the following: body cameras, COVID-19 update, energy aggregation, contract negotiations, legal issues and or opinions on any item on the open session agenda, potential litigation, zoning, township media correspondence, litigation updates, and Oprah. And I also want to take a moment to wish all of our residents who are celebrating Ramadan starting this evening, Ramadan Mubarak from all of us here. And we hope you have a wonderful holiday time over the next month. Okay, we don't have any presentations this evening. Work session items, any miscellaneous? Any old business? Any new business?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
We discussed about the council agenda, about the council meetings, especially now during COVID, as more people are working from home, more people are also parenting while they're working from home, that we were going to move the day council meetings to night. And I think there's a few that are coming up on the agenda. And I just wanted to see if we were able to make those officially night meetings.
I don't have the schedule right in front of me. When is, do you know, Deputy Mayor Katz, when the first one is?
I think it's in, I actually have, I have the schedule up and I can tell you right now. The first one is going to be June 22nd. The second one would be October 5th. Both of those legally open at 1, public starting at 2. If you'd like to change those, we could have a resolution amending the schedule next week. I mean, not next week, sorry, next meeting. to change those times to nighttime meetings.
I'd like to request, given the circumstances, that we do that.
Okay, motion, is the motion
No,
to,
second by Schwartz.
okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I was just curious as to why we moved them to daytime to begin with.
Oh,
I believe at the time, it was, go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
there were two reasons. One was seniors and those folks were not necessarily able to come to our meetings. And two, adults like me had trouble when 7:30, is bath and bedtime for little ones, getting out to the building for a council meeting. One of the benefits to Zoom is that, for somebody that does want to go on for an evening meeting, even if they're doing bath and bedtime. I mean, look, you had a Board of Ed member that literally was giving her kids a bath during a Zoom meeting. I mean, these are things that parents do in 2020, 2021. But those were the reasons.
So we have a motion on the floor and seconded to bring a resolution to change the meetings for 6:22 and 10:05 to regular evening meetings. If I can have some nodding heads, unless someone has an objection and wants a roll call.
And so it's cool. We could present this resolution April 27th.
Yes,
It's well ahead of the first. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then we'll do that. We'll see a resolution on April 27th.
okay. Anything else under new business? Communications? The only thing I have is actually something that Dean and I did. We attended a presentation from Congressman Gottheimer's office on some specialty grant possibilities. Dean will have more on that, and we have a resolution related to this in our packet this evening. It is allowed in at the last minute because, one, it's very time sensitive, as Dean will speak to, and two, it has great potential positive financial implications for the township. So that's why we allowed that one to be brought in today. Committee reports from council liaisons.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Two quick meetings. Planning Board had a very productive meeting this past a week, 2 weeks ago, and we'll see some of the items on the agenda, such as American Legion Drive and Alfred Avenue. Also, the Planning Board meeting for this Thursday has been canceled, as an FYI. And of course, tomorrow night's the Cedar Lane meeting. The Cedar Lane Memorial Day Fair is confirmed and is on. Please mark your calendars.
And what day is that?
Memorial Day. It's on Monday, Memorial Day. Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other reports? Yes, Councilmember Rice.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a few community relations I'll start with. They wish to thank council for a very successful event, the walk and talk event, and suggested more of those type of activities. Yasin Al-Kahani, the board's chair, also wanted to thank the council for the resolution in support of our Asian brothers and sisters. Their next meeting will be on Monday, April 19th. Additionally, just wanted to make mention of YAB. Our Youth Advisory Board had a really successful event this past Sunday. And just want to thank all the community members that actually participated on a Sunday afternoon. One of the advantages of having Zoom meetings. First of all, I want to thank the students themselves who spent a lot of time organizing the meeting, their youth advisors, Mr. Dwayne Harley, Mr. Shay Lewis, Mr. Karan G, the advisors to the group. Additionally, those members that attended from our staff, Dean Kaczynski, Jordan Zareski, and I believe it was Officer Cranquist who participated. We had Board of Ed Superintendent, Board of Ed members, Harold Clark, Victoria Fisher, Sebastian Rodriguez, the president, Additionally, Danielle G., and of course, council members, Mayor Keith Kaplan, myself. Great event, really a lot of great information that was shared. One of the things that I suggested to the students is that we find a way that we can invite adult council members, not to participate in the prizes or perhaps kind of just be a fishbowl to watch the students interact, but a lot of great information is shared at that particular event. And the kids were really, they really enjoyed that. And our Hackensack Riverway, they actually had another issue with Indian Pond washing out, but Dean, I believe that there was DPW attention to it right away. They really appreciated that. There's also a cleanup schedule that Doug mentioned earlier. This is a spring cleanup, so there's dates set up for April 17th, May 2nd, as well as May 15th. Community members, high school students seeking community service hours, there's great opportunity. Those dates will continuously be listed on the township website and our Facebook so that community members can help participate in the Riverway cleanup. And I think that's about it for my committees.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Romney Rice. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor?
Kaplan, go ahead.
The library board met. Jacqueline Quinn spoke about the teen services that have been added over the years, including virtual college prep programs, teen outreach at the schools, and the future of teen services at the library. The director, Mr. McGinley, has been doing some really great work over there. The director also spoke about the next phases and the benchmarks that the library is going to use, and we're all hoping that they open soon. They were interested in speaking with the manager, and I had mentioned to him, and he's going to reach out about Wi-Fi options for people in the surrounding areas. The Environmental Commission met a while back. I did have to log off for another meeting halfway through, but I had mentioned to them to always reach out. I'll bring any issues that they want to the council by email. There was one resignation from Mr. Zatz. The manager, as you may recall, appoints for the Environmental Commission, and he was up in June of 2021 anyway, but that does leave a seat for a month or so, and then it opens again. It might be worth filling for July.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Kaplan. Did I see another hand up anywhere? No? Okay, I have a couple. PPRAB met. Two items that they were discussing. One was an idea to basically start to organize how we work on our parks and perhaps pick one or two parks a year and focus our efforts on updating them or renovating them or whatever want to get done. Because sometimes the idea of thinking of all the parks at the same time gets so daunting that maybe nothing gets done, or is nothing that they want to get done can get done because it's just too much of a deal. So that was one thing they wanted to bring forward. And then another item had to do with the ventilation at Rhoda, especially after we finished with the vaccine center, whether or not there were plans to update the ventilation so that it would be safer for everyone to be in there, you know, with higher level HEPA filters, so on and so forth. So I'm not sure if Dean, you had that on your to-do list at all?
It's on the list. I know it's going to require a big expense. There is no air conditioning in that gym. I've spoken to Kevin about it. I've spoken to Glenn about it. What I'll do is the next meeting, I'll come back with a report to council on what we can and what we can't do.
Okay, great. Thank you. Most also met just before that meeting. And one of the ideas that, or actually one of the things they wanted us to think about is the idea of making permanent the honorary street naming, not changing the street name, but just keeping the honorary name on top of it. I think our policy is for 90 days if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So, they wanted to know if there was some possibility that we could come up with something or criteria that we would allow that to occur. So,
Council does reserve the right to make it permanent. That's in the policy.
okay. Deputy Mayor Katz?
Yeah, I was gonna say that was in the policy, and also bear in mind, okay, we did some residential streets, and I'm sure that in Teaneck there's more than just one significant special individual on each residential street, but certainly when we deal with merchants, there's many merchants on a business district, so it makes it difficult to do the permanent.
Mhm. Anybody else have a go? Karen? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think maybe we could differentiate, and some could be permanent and some could be temporary. Like Ellie said. But
Yeah.
Some we've named after people that I think we'd like to keep. And then businesses, I agree. There might be a lot we'd like to celebrate.
Councilmember.
Back when we were deciding this issue a couple of years ago, I had looked, and one sign ordinance rule stood out for me. It was from New Orleans. They had a caveat in there that in order to make anything permanent for a person, they had to be deceased for a period of, it was either 3 or 5 years. And they wanted to ensure that, the issues surrounding, their passing were not overly influencing some of the actions that a couple of years later, you might have a different view on who had lifelong impacts versus not. So I think we should have some kind of a system in place. I have no doubt that, the individuals here would qualify either way. But I thought some of those ideas from places that have gone through this before might be interested in taking a look at again.
Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Katz?
To that point, twofold. First of all, I think that I like the system in place that if 4 people support it, then it gets it. Number one. And number two is, I don't know about you, but I like it when we can name a street after someone that's actually alive. It just feels a little bit more meaningful to see that person sitting at the front of the dais and their family there. Really gaining the I guess whatever joy it is for all the work that this person did, so I don't want to do anything that's going to require them to die in order for us to keep it up there. When you guys name it after me, I want to be here. So.
Councilmember Rice.
So I just kind of agree with Ellie that we shouldn't have to wait till a person passes to be able to give them their flowers. It was just unfortunate. We had already had the plans and work to do Mrs. Akery, and but she passed before we were able to have her with us at the time. But I did want to say that when we first started this, actually, there was some conversation, at least to have some criteria, so that we have at least some parameters in terms of what the criteria are. And I still think that that's helpful. I think that, yes, it's wonderful to have 4 nodding heads, but kind of at least when people submit it, they know, has this person met just XYZ, whatever basic criteria that we set up, whether it's through us or through community relations. I think that that helps, as opposed to just, having Donald Duck have a street named after him or something like that, That's it.
Okay, so do we want to form a little subcommittee with the manager and take a look at the policy again, or do you want to leave it as is?
As is works for me.
Deputy Mayor Katz?
Yes, I yield to the self-appointed director of the sign committee, which is Deputy Mayor Schwartz. And I agree with him that we should just leave it as is. I don't like it, like I said, when you have to live by a criteria. Everybody lends itself to a different situation.
Councilmember Organ?
I also love that we have the gift of naming after someone who's recently passed. I think it's a gift that we can give to their family and a way that we can honor them. So I like the emotion that comes with that, not the thinking in 3 to 5 years.
To be clear, I'm fine with the temporary for someone alive, someone recently passed, something. I was just speaking to the permanent signs for a little time for reflection and thought before you make something permanent forever.
All right, so it sounds as if right now we'll maybe deal with things on an individual basis within the current policy. And if anything else helps, if someone approaches you, Dean, about this, then you'll let us know if there's something else that we have to do with the policy.
Okay.
All right.
Actually, while we're on the topic, I just wanted to mention that the Isley Brothers came up again. I know that that was something that was in the works some time ago. So Mark, we can further discuss this offline. Where we
I actually just got off the phone with Eric Baker on Friday, who was the Isley Brothers manager. Him and I are talking again, trying to pin down a date. That's where it stands right now.
Correct, correct.
Just got off the phone.
Council approved it.
Okay,
Thank you.
all righty. Okay, and the only other item I have for council liaison work is the Pride Committee. They met. They're putting together a proclamation for Pride Month in June. And they're updating, or I gave to Doug the updated Pride flag, which we will set a date. We'll do a resolution for the raising of that flag in June, as we've done the last several years. And so that's where they're at. Okay. Anybody else have anything from liaisons work or anything else? Okay. Moving on, council listed items. Star of David display, Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much. There was some conversation I had last meeting, if you recall, of what we could do for the many people that have asked for a Star of David display and other options. And I felt that this time, for this year, this is of course for the month of May, it would be for a Star of David flag at the Votee Sportsplex, which has already policies in place that this request follows those policies. We've done it for other well-deserved and deserved organizations and rights and groups. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion, if that's the case, to display the Star of David during the month of May at the Votee Sportsplex.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, Mark, I just wanted to know, is there a particular holiday for that month that we would, the month of May?
Yes, it actually comes in late April this year. Okay, what's exactly 1 second? Hang on a second. This year
Thursday.
it's Thursday. This year it's a little bit early. Usually it's in May, but because of the lack of a leap year on Jewish year, Yom Ha'atzmaut, which is Israel Independence Day, is traditionally in May. This year is an anomaly. It's this week, but just by coincidence, normally it is in May, and that's why when I initially intended it to be in May.
And I don't recall the exact date off the top of my head, but I believe, if memory serves, Paul Ostrow did the first town proclamation in support of Israel in the mid-90s. So we may be able to grab some language from there as well
Okay.
So
for
another
the
question.
same holiday.
So would we do something similar to Pride Day, where we have June 1st, a ceremonial flag raising in addition to?
I think that's already done. I think that's great, but I think that's already official. Mr. Mayor, isn't that officially confirmed for this year?
That's what I'm asking. Would this be like an official proclamation and ceremonial in kind as we do to Pride? Would that be the same type of?
Oh,
Yeah,
ceremonial?
what I would ask is that if you want to do a proclamation on this for May, that we do it at the next April meeting, okay? And that a resolution is brought in to raise the Star of David flag, similar to what we do with the Pride flag in June. So that would be the mechanism. So you could do that at the April meeting and you'd be good to go.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we can please do that, Mr. Clerk, that would be great.
So there'll be a resolution on for the next meeting encapsulating all this. That's what we're asking for.
April 27th.
Correct.
Meeting, correct.
Okay. All right. Item 2, proposed resolution supporting Senate 3522, creating local part of the public employees retirement system. I put this on. This was something that Dean brought to our attention. What it would basically do is separate out the local employees retirement system board from I guess it was a state board. And Dean felt that this was something that would benefit the town. So Dean, do you want to speak to it a little bit?
Oh, sure. Again, this is something that came forward from the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association, and it's going to provide better protection. It's going to be different trustees that are going to handle the local section of public employee retirement system and separate itself from the state. So there's benefits from doing that, and to manage that PERS pension system, I believe, better. And that's the consensus of the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association, and they wanted support for that.
Okay. So what we have to do now is we have to make a motion here with a second to put it on consent. Anybody make that motion?
So moved.
And a
Second.
I just want to be clear with everyone. If we walk this in, this will be resolution 100-2021, just so we assign a number.
Okay.
Want everyone to know that.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Item 3, proposed resolution, New Jersey League of Municipalities Resolution number 2019-02. Councilman Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. At a time when Democrats and Republicans are fighting in Washington, D.C. over what to do to help eliminate the digital equity gap we are facing in this country, this resolution promotes digital equity by encouraging our members of Congress and the state legislature to do everything in their power to eliminate the disparities in broadband internet access. So I move to add this resolution to the consent agenda for our next council meeting on April 27th.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Katz seconds. Any discussion? Any objection to putting this on the consent?
Anyone who object doesn't have broadband.
All right, so that's number 101, Doug?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 4, proposed resolution supporting Assemblyman Johnson's letter to the New Jersey DEP, re Green Acres, Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Don't tell them.
You're,
Can't hear you, Mark.
Yeah. No, I wanted to do that myself. I got it. As many of you know, we quite a bit of money coming to us from a PG version in Votsy Park for reasons that really can't apply to TNX. We have a limited amount of time for this money, and we have a limited amount of money or limited amount of objects we can spend it on, specifically buying open space, which is very much impossible in a fully built out town. As such, Assemblyman Johnson, in a letter to the to the state, and we can spend this money on up our parks. Seems like a no-brainer. We don't have the land to buy it on. We want to spend it on parks. Our PPB is going around town, coming up with some great park ideas. I think this is incredible for us to have the option. We can still buy open land if some open land falls from the sky. But I also think that we as a council should send a letter to the governor asking for his support from his agency for the same request Assemblyman Johnson's doing.
Second.
second by Deputy Mayor Katz. This letter was in response to both the manager and mine and legal counsel's request, and we got a meeting with him, and he agreed to do this to try and find a waiver of some type for towns of our size, as Mark indicated, that was so fully packed. There's almost no way to use this money the way they want. Otherwise, we will have to give the money back to the state. We can't use it. It's very narrow in its focus. So So this is just bringing a little bit more pressure to bear from the other side, from the governor's office. Any other discussion? Councilmember Rice?
So while I think it sounds like it's initially sounds like it's a good idea, especially if there's no space, but a couple of questions. So Mayor, thanks for your point of clarity that this is something that you and Dean brought up, because I guess it wasn't something that was brought before council, that we were able to be in on the request from the assemblyman. So I was just curious as to why that wasn't brought to all of us to make a request. And the other question is, I noticed that we have some property that's up for sale. So is that something, when we say that we don't have open space, is it possible that we could look at any possible open space? And then thirdly, is there something that's so time sensitive that we couldn't, that we have to move on this, right now? Is this something that we could at least, whether it's the Environmental Commission or most, or just to have other groups look at this to see what other options are available?
Should I, Jim, you want to take the first one or the second one?
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, I'll let you, Mr. Mayor, speak as it relates to timing, because obviously that's a major issue. As it relates to open space, we're actually the land that we're auctioning off, we already own that land. That land is excess land, land that's been on the docket to S2 auction off, in one case, approximately a year. It's to Sack Hill, and it's been discussed for 3 years as it relates to, that's of course has nothing to do relevance to this in terms of we own it already, but again, that's excess land that will serve of no public benefit, and that neighbors have requested and council has agreed to auction it off. As it relates to timing, I'm going to defer to my supervisor.
Yeah. The issue has to do with there is a clock on this money, and it did already start. And we know that the government works slowly. So we felt that getting it in as soon as we can at the beginning of that cycle would help us have any possibility of being able to use this money for other things within the town that we could really use. So that's the reason why I approached it that way and approached the timing of it.
So just another question, then who would be making the decisions on how the money is appropriated and how it's utilized?
I think us.
The council.
Yeah.
So full council, as opposed to the way this was proposed initially, at least the full council would have input?
Councilmember Rice, would you have wanted me not to pursue trying to get this money for the township?
No, not saying that at all. I would certainly much rather us have access to that $2 million as opposed to it going back to the state, by all means.
Right.
I just wanted to clarify that it would indeed be full council that then makes a determination on how that money is utilized.
Yes, absolutely.
If this is approved, we'll have alternative uses for the compensation, so the residents, all the residents can benefit from the diversion money.
Yep.
And we would improve such things as the parks, building additional recreation facilities. So that would give us some options rather than just acquiring property.
Would there be options to do something over by the Creek Conservancy in terms of improvement of that areas of open space, amenities in
county.
that area?
But that's a county land, isn't that, Mr. Mayor?
Don't we have, doesn't the TNEC own any of that?
Oh.
I'd have to check.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we do. The bottom line is that what if they give us a waiver, they may have further defined use, although more broad. So I would say everything is in play until such time as one, they agree, and two, in what way do they agree with the waiver? So we'll have to wait and see.
Some of Teaneck Creek is owned by the township. I think some of it might actually also be owned by the county.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to propose a resolution to be sent to the governor's office supporting the DEP letter. Any further discussion?
Again, that resolution language is in everyone's packets.
Okay. All right, so we have to put this into the resolutions, right?
Yeah, consent agenda, it would be 102. Did we, I know the motion was by Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Who did the second?
I'll
Ellie
second.
White-Cats.
Ellie Katz. Okay,
And that's gonna be 102, that's 2021.
mhm,
But that'll be for tonight, right?
Yes.
yes,
The only one that we discussed this evening that will be at the following meeting is going to be the Star of David.
right,
That's the only one we're not considering this evening.
all right. And item 5, PSE&G, communication with the township.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think that I'd like to do twofold, but in this order. I'd like to have our ordinance committee of Keith Kaplan review our PSE&G ordinance as far as opening up streets and notifications of town to the town. Because I'm told and I've heard that there's been several times where PSE&G comes and opens up the streets, doesn't notify the town when they're supposed to, doesn't notify the engineer. I'm not saying always, but I'm told that there've been some incidents. And then when they do, they break up the street, they put a patch on it. But I know that there's some towns that require curb to curb. I know of a street that's brand spanking new that Teaneck taxpayers spent a lot of money on, and a patch was put on it a few months after the paving was done. So I'd like to request Councilman Kaplan to review that ordinance and look and see if there's other ordinances in other towns and see how we could put a little more teeth into it to require not just PSE&G, all the utilities, that when they're breaking up streets, they have to repave it if it's an X amount based on whatever our engineered guidelines are, and B, that there's some type of penalty or something like that, that they have to be held accountable and responsible for notification.
Discussion?
Yes.
Keith?
So this happened to my street after it was recently paved. PSE&G came out and put 4 holes in the township's brand new street. And Deputy Mayor Katz is absolutely right. There are towns that have ordinances that require that anytime a street within 3 to 5 years of repaving a hole needs to be put in it, they have to do a curb to curb repair for the blacktop in that section. There's time periods after that where they have to do what's called a thermal or infrared patch. That's the kind that you take a look and it looks like a good one and you wonder why you didn't get that one. That's the infrared patch. And it can't be done in all seasons. Sometimes the work will have to wait because it's winter time. They can't do it. They have to wait until spring or summer. But there are absolutely ordinances that I think we should pass in this regard. If we have 4 nodding heads, I'm very happy to work with the attorney to get something on for introduction and discussion at our next meeting. I think at a minimum, it should apply to PSE&G and United, especially when they come and put in blacktop on sidewalks where they're supposed to come back after a certain period of time and fill them in with regular cement concrete material. I think everyone would benefit from a statutory or ordinance timeline for them to get that work done. And Deputy Mayor Katz is absolutely right. We do have a requirement in town that there is a street opening permit, obviously with the exception of emergencies where I believe they're supposed to fill out the paperwork afterwards. But as far as I know, the street opening permit paperwork generally has been done. It's the other work that's been lacking.
Okay.
And notifications.
Yes.
Councilmember Rice, you got your hand up?
Yes, because I just wanted to, as Ellie mentioned, I thought we did have something in place, that there was at least acknowledgement of our road repair schedule, so that all of that work would be done prior to repaving the road, so that you don't have a brand new road that is already opened up. So is there a way to continue to require them to follow scheduling so that they know when a road is being repaired, so that they can at least attempt to coordinate, so that we don't have openings of brand new roads that have been resurfaced.
That's a good point. Our engineering department does communicate with PSC&G when we put together and finalize our road resurfacing schedule for the current year. PSC&G is notified. There is a moratorium on doing any work on a municipal road. I believe it's 5 years. But there are times that the street does have to open up. And as Councilman Kaplan said, sometimes we get the infrared patch, which is generally very good, very smooth. Other times we don't. The police department, is generally pretty good. If a utility company is out there doing work and we don't know about it, they generally reach out to engineering just to make sure that a permit was applied for. So is there a hiccup here and there? Yes. Maybe we can tighten the ordinance. And I'm in full agreement that depending on square footage, the part of the roadway should be milled and resurfaced again.
Okay, so it sounds like we're in agreement to ask Councilman Kaplan to take a look at this and to work with the manager to bring something back to us.
Happy to do so.
All right, very good. Township managers report.
Thank you, Mayor. But quite a few things to cover. I just want to first congratulate our attorney, John Shadanian, who's also the current trustee and secretary of the New Jersey State Bar Association, Labor and Employment Law Section. He was sworn in April 6th as a trustee of the Bergen County Bar Association. And as we all know, John also serves as the co-chair of the BCBA Labor Employment Law Committee. So congratulations, John. Great accomplishment. I want to take another minute to recognize and the outstanding work of our Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps. We bring them up quite often, and they duly deserve the recognition for their great work day in and day out. Just Sunday alone, they responded to 22 emergency calls for service, including 3 simultaneous calls. We call them triple calls, 2 simultaneous double calls, request for mutual aid in another jurisdiction. And this was all covered by on duty and off duty volunteers. When no one is at the building or they're handling other calls, there's a pager system in place. And we are so fortunate to have them. These calls consisted of a 1 cardiac arrest, 2 unresponsive patients, I believe a COVID patient that was experiencing severe symptoms, 3 people with cardiac issues, a couple with respiratory distress, a victim of domestic violence, stroke, seizures. So there's a variety of calls that these dedicated volunteers commit a tremendous amount of time to our residents on a daily basis. And we're so fortunate to have such a robust staff of volunteers. And again, they are dedicated, they're committed to the cause to serve the residents of Teaneck. And I just want to commend them and just say, keep up the great work, guys and girls. Just to go over the budget.
And for people to donate.
Yes, people to donate. PO, I believe it's PO Box 12, Karen. Still PO Box 12, I believe. The Ambulance Corps.
Online, TVAC.
Yes, with TVAC. Still working on the budget. Right now, we're currently at 1.99%. We're going to continue to work on it. The budget subcommittee will be meeting this Friday to discuss further options. I have a bunch of project updates I want to go over right now. The municipal building parking resurfacing project is out to bid. The bid date is going to be April 22nd. I also had PSC&G install some new LED lights on the utility poles in the parking lot. There were some dark spots, and this is going to provide better safety to our workforce and to the users of the municipal complex, including the library. 2020 roadway resurfacing. This project is out for bid, and the bid date is May 4th. And we're planning to award the project on May 11th and start construction in June. So we're way ahead of some of these projects already, which is good news. The municipal building roof windows and Yankee gutter replacement. Engineering and DPW recently met with the architect to go over this project. and to update the drawings. We anticipate everything getting finalized, the finalized drawing sometime next month. Hickory and Woodbine street improvements, that bid opening was done on April 1st, and the project is scheduled to be awarded to DLS Contracting this evening. Hawthorne Tennis Courts, the bid opening for this project was April 1st as well. And the project's going to be awarded to Sport Tech Construction this evening as well. Again, we'll have brand new tennis courts, and we will have the hybrid pickleball court at Hawthorne as well. The ADA ramps in the southeast quadrant, the punch list was recently completed. That project will be closed out shortly. Teaneck Road Streetscape project, the contractor Sal Zucchero started the punch list and will complete everything this coming spring. The Field House, we're purchasing outdoor picnic tables for the pavilion, indoor tables and chairs. That's in the process of being procured. The Rhoda Center roof and facade improvements. The roof and facade are complete. The contractor recently installed several new windows as part of this overall project. There still are some punch list items that need to be addressed, and that should be completed by the end of spring. The Rhoda Center operable walls, the contractor started construction on this as well last month, and he's just waiting for some additional materials to arrive in May to complete that project. The municipal building.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question just before it goes to the next line?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, over the weekend, the entire council was at the Rhoda Center for the extraordinary job that the vaccination center is doing, and we all volunteered there, separate and etc. But with that, is there an issue? Two things. First of all, when are we getting the Rhoda Center a new plaque? And is there an issue with the front brick facade that has to be?
Yes. Some, not the entire brick facade, Deputy Mayor. There are some bricks that need to be replaced, and that is scheduled as part of that punch list. So that will be corrected. Regarding the plaque, once we pass a budget, we can order the plaque. The wording is complete. It's very expensive, the bronze plaque. And again, once we pass the budget, we can order from, I believe it's Kunith Sign.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The municipal building basement, environmental remediation and demolition, those specs are being reviewed by our purchasing agent right now. Repairs and renovation to Fire Station 4 on Windsor Road, those specs are being reviewed by the purchasing agent now. Our new tax map is 80% complete. The engineering department is reviewing as the sheets are submitted. Tuyum Park, the new playground equipment, that project is out to bid, and the bid date is April 29th. That will replace all the current playground equipment in Tuyum Park. The Voti Park band shell project is moving forward. The engineers were currently working on those plans. Phelps Park bathroom, again, the engineers working on those plans. We're going to be good to go with that very soon. Suez lead replacement, the pavement and concrete repair has been started throughout town. They did the temporary patches when they were doing these lead line replacements. So that work is in the process. The dual charging station, we're almost ready to install the charging station in the municipal lot. It's going to be positioned in the first two parking spaces along the east curb, near where the generator is for the municipal building. So that's a quick update on these projects and quite a few things going on right now. As the mayor said earlier, the mayor and I attended a meeting with Congressman Gottheimer on Friday regarding a new initiative for fiscal year 2022 that allows members of Congress to request direct funding for projects that benefit the communities they represent. Each member of Congress is only going to get 1 to 2 requests funded at the end of the process this coming fall, and the funding is going to be very selective. For us, there was a very short window, 3 days to be exact, from Friday when we learned about this until Monday to submit what we called a member designated project preliminary application under the Federal Surface Transportation Reauthorization Program. And the application that we submitted yesterday is a request to fund the complete repair and or replacement of the Windsor Road Palisade Avenue pedestrian overpass that crosses over the CSX River line. And again, that price tag is roughly $5 million. And it would include all the ADA requirements, including elevators on each side. I know we looked at this when Manager Broughton was here some years back. And again, it was very costly then, and those costs have certainly gone up now. But if we do the complete replacement, again, it's going to require elevators on each side. Again, I hope we're selected for this project. This is an artery for school children to cross. I certainly, at some point, we need to make these repairs and or replacement, and I certainly don't want children or any residents crossing over the railroad tracks. The next closest crossing, of course, is the underground tunnel a little further up. So hopefully we'll be selected for this project. There's a lot of information and time that will go into this, but if our project is one under consideration, we'll get it done. Bergen County is going to be resurfacing. I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but if not, they're going to be resurfacing River Road from Northumberland to the New Milford line and from the Bogota border to Cedar Lane. They're also going to complete DeGraw Avenue from Teaneck Road to the Bogota border. Cedar Lane in its entirety is scheduled for 2022. We plan on resurfacing up to 30 streets, not including 4 CDBG locations. And we're looking at a few problematic intersections this year as well to resurface. Not sure if I mentioned this as well, but we received a $760,000 NJDOT local freight impact fund grant to repair the entire length of Alfred Avenue. I anticipate after all the engineering studies are done, we're looking at a start date sometime in 2022. I recently, actually yesterday, I had a meeting, a Zoom meeting with EJ Vizzi and Elizabeth Davis regarding age-friendly Teaneck initiatives. It was a productive conversation. I'm looking forward to helping them with some initiatives throughout the year. They're going to provide me with some further input. We'll take a look at it, and I'll do my best in making sure that we work with them on the initiatives that they feel are a priority. Our application to the Bergen County Trust Fund Municipal Program for park improvements was submitted last week. We requested $200,000 to resurface the tennis courts at Oregon Park. This is a matching fund grant. Hoping we get that as well. Oregon Park, I know, needs that tennis court area resurfaced. A special thank you. I must thank the Puffin Foundation for generously donating $5,000 in support of the 77th anniversary of the summer band concert series at Voti Park. So to the Puffin Foundation, I thank you very much. Getting to COVID, as of this morning, the township has 3,508 cases of the coronavirus. And that's an increase of 397 since my last report on March 16th. That was the last council meeting. So that averages 14.1 cases per day, again, which is high. We remain at 118 deaths. Again, this is just a reminder, everyone needs to remain vigilant and responsible in preventing the spread of the virus. We can't let our guard down with this. As everyone hopefully is aware, effective Monday, April 19th, all individuals aged 16 and older will be eligible for the vaccination. And in line with the recommendations of the CDC, the Food Drug Administration, New Jersey Department of Health, Holy Name halted the administration of the J&J vaccine out of the abundance of caution today. This pause is going to remain in effect until the CDC completes its investigation and provides additional guidance to everyone. Residents can refer to the press release, which was sent out today, placed on our network outlets. It's on Holy Name's website as well. I'm also receiving, my office is receiving complaints about masks being discarded on the ground. This is just a reminder, please place them in the proper garbage containers. DPW completed repairs to the Lancer Field underground electric lines. Those lights are now working, and they did a great job getting that done before the start of the season. The township's first shredding event takes place the weekend of May 1st and 2nd. Residents, of course, can bring documents to be shredded to the mobile shredding machine at the municipal building parking lot between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. or until the truck is filled. I encourage residents to get there early. The truck is generally filled up by 11 or 12 o'clock. Again, that is the weekend of May 1st and 2nd. The next shredding event takes place the weekend of September 18th and 19th. And residents should refer to the recycling calendar for additional information. And unfortunately, we had bad weather last Sunday. That was our garage sale weekend. So what we're doing is we're holding the garage sale again this Sunday to replace the rain out date from last Sunday. End the report.
Thank you, Dean. I think on the heels of what you're talking about with COVID, I'd like to share with the public the numbers that I got from DOH that I shared with the council in closed session. I finally got some figures relative to how many people in Teaneck have been vaccinated. Currently, this is as of Friday from the governor's office. 13,400 first shots have been delivered, first shots. And we have a little over 8,000 citizens who have completed either the one J&J or the 2 Pfizer or Moderna shots. So if you look at that for the adult population that would be eligible for vaccination, we have about 26% completion for our citizens so far, which is about in line with what's going on throughout the country, where the US has about 25% completed. So I think that's good news, and I just hope that we keep plugging away here and get everybody vaccinated.
And vaccine.holyname.org is where you can register. I'm told by Holy Name that we have an abundance of Pfizer vaccine, and you make an appointment, you go into the registration portal, you're generally going to get an appointment relatively quickly. So again, Monday, April 19th, anyone 16 years of age and older.
Okay, thank you, Dean.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Dean, I just have a question. You mentioned about the basement remediation, and I'm just recently received a note from one of the Helping Hands volunteers saying that they got notification that the pantry will be closing on June 1st. And I was just wondering if there's any plan to relocate the pantry. Is the basement going to be finished by then? Do you have any information about?
Now, unfortunately, the basement, the first thing we need to do, and I've been discussing this for a bit, and the COVID crisis set us back, but there's got to be complete demolition of the basement, environmental work down there as well before we do the demolition work. We're probably, in all reality, 2 years away because once we do the demolition, then in 2022, we're going to have to appropriate monies to renovate the basement. The basement's going to include an office for social services, the food pantry, storage, and a few other things that we originally discussed. So again, we're probably a good 2 years away from getting the food pantry back into the renovated basement of the municipal building. The deputy mayor and I have a meeting coming up, I believe, with the food pantry to discuss some options. The building that they're currently in was sold, and the new owner, I believe, is giving 3 months time for the food pantry in the township to find another location. So if anyone has any suggestions, ideas, property that we can temporarily relocate the food pantry, please feel free to reach out to me or Deputy Mayor Katz.
Well, thank you for the information, because I know that the Helping Hands Pantry, in addition to a number of other resources in the community, have really been very supportive and helpful to our residents in this time of need during COVID. I know that they have supplied many of families. So hopefully we'll be able to find a new home for that, because I know it does provide a vital service to our residents.
It sure does.
Okay. Township Attorney's report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. There's no report other than what was discussed during the closed session.
Okay. All right, we move on to formal meeting items. Adoption of ordinances. Doug, if you could read the titles in, please. Titling.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I just want to say those new lights in the municipal building parking lot, it literally looks like day out there right now. I was just looking outside and it looks like daytime. The only ordinance that we are considering for adoption this evening is ordinance number 12-2021. An ordinance amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicapped at 42 Edgemont Place.
Thank you. Does any member of the council wish to make a comment on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I'll declare a public hearing. This public hearing is just on ordinance number 12-2021. So if you want to make a comment on 12-2021, please raise your hand in the queue and Doug will bring you in.
I saw Mr. Alan Stone raising his hand, and I just brought him in. Hello, Mr. Stone. Again, this is just for ordinance 12-2021. If you have any comments on that.
Yes, I am going to address this ordinance. And again, it's not the specific location that I think is most relevant. I think what I most specifically want to support is the fact that this includes, as has been done recently, a specific sunset. That this ordinance, it will not only provide for the parking spot to be created, but this ordinance will expire after 2 years or sooner if repealed, so that this way we can ensure that those parking spots are available for those individuals handicapped who need them, who need those spots, but are also available brought back to the general public when they're no longer needed. Thank you very much for adopting this ordinance and for using this as a model.
Thank you, sir. I see another hand, Mr. James Veach, and I am bringing him in. Mr. James Veach, you must unmute, good sir.
I'm sorry, Doug. I wanted to comment on resolution 102, not this one.
Okay, yes, this is just for the ordinance. So if you don't have any comments for ordinance 12-2021, I will have to change you back to attendee, sir.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you. Mayor, at this time, I don't see any other hands.
Okay, then we will close this public hearing. And Doug, if you will call the roll.
Who was the first? I apologize. Who motioned this?
Mark Schwartz.
And the second, I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay, Councilwoman Rami Rice. Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Sorry, was on mute. Yes.
Councilman Began.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Ordinance 12 adopted. Publication heading out tomorrow.
Okay. Now the meeting is open to the public for good and welfare on input on any matters. You'll have 3 minutes. Doug will be calling you in. So please raise your hand in the queue and Doug will bring you in.
Again, good evening, Teaneck. You know who I am at this point. My name is Doug. I am your town clerk. You have 3 minutes to speak. If you are not able to fit your statement in, your questions, comments, concerns within 3 minutes, please email me at clerk@teanecknj.gov and I will be sure to include your statement in the minutes verbatim, copy and paste. I don't like interrupting people, so when your 3 minutes is up, I will unfortunately just have to cut you off. Please don't take it personal. First up, I see Miss Paula Rogovin. Miss Paula Rogovin must unmute.
Hi, a coalition of residents has just launched a petition campaign to put the adoption of community choice aggregation ordinance for Teaneck on the ballot. We've worked for more than a year and a half to get Teaneck to adopt a CCA ordinance. We met with the Environmental Commission, with the manager, as you asked us to do. We provided fact sheets and a sample ordinance. We've helped people get answers to their questions. When Councilmember Javon Romney Rice called on you to even discuss passing a CCA ordinance, there was no response from other council members at the meeting. When we wrote to you over and over to ask for discussions, one council member said that my letter was polite. Other than that, we've heard nothing else. Many of us are talking and worrying about the climate emergency. We need every municipal, county, and state government to take a stand to combat climate change. Anytime during this petition campaign, the council can vote to adopt a CCA ordinance. This is what happened in Edison, New Jersey. Our coalition would be happy to work with you on crafting of the ordinance for Teaneck. What would community choice aggregation do for Teaneck? If Teaneck adopts CCA, especially if we adopt CCA with the goal of achieving 100% purchase of renewable energy by 2030 or before, will we see cleaner air in Teaneck? No. Teaneck would purchase from renewable energy sources in the region. That means Teaneck would be supporting the growth of more solar, wind, hydro, and other renewable energy in the region. And if Teaneck does what Glen Rock has done, join a CCA program with Montclair and several other towns, or if Teaneck adopts CCA with the option of joining the future Bergen County CCA effort, when lots of municipalities participate, that's when we will actually start to see a measurable improvement in our air quality in the region. Plus, bulk purchase of renewable energy through CCA will lower costs for each Teaneck resident. We'll be reaching out to residents to sign the petition for CCA Teaneck. We hope that you will work with us, that we can work together to implement a CCA program, 100% CCA program for Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogovin. I am now bringing in phone number, last 3 digits, 086. If not a problem, please unmute yourself and also state your name for the record.
Hi, can you hear me right now?
I can hear you loud and clear. What is your name, friend?
Hello?
Yes, hi. Please state your name for the
Okay,
record.
I'm sorry about that. Hello, members of the Township Council. My name is EJ Busy, and I'm the project coordinator of Age Friendly Teaneck, an initiative to help Teaneck be as wonderful a place to grow old as it is to grow up. As spring has sprung and many are enjoying the outdoors more often, we would like to share some suggestions for increasing the ability for residents of all ages to actively and passively enjoy the Township Park. During a conference, we learned about age-friendly design principles from New York City Parks Commissioner Mitchell Silver. He outlined a park redevelopment strategy that focuses on 4 factors: access, comfort, activity, and nature. This design approach combines a philosophy of equity and a strategy for opening the perimeters that we think would also work in Teaneck. Our team did a walking inventory of 23 of Teaneck's parks and created a report highlighting the 4 factors. This report was shared with you, the Township Council, the PPRAB, and the Senior Citizens Advisory Board earlier this year. I'm happy to share the report with you if you'd like another copy. The first factor is access. Not all park sidewalks or pathways are smooth and barrier-free. Paving upgrades are needed in many parks. Pathway redesigns can ensure safer entrances, better access to seating areas, and improved walking and jogging routes. Seating at park perimeters can help parks better blend into neighborhoods and create more ways for people to gather in open spaces. For example, the addition of a seating area near the Fort Lee Road entrance at Almond Park could enable people to sit and enjoy, maybe with an ice cream cone from a nearby Dairy Queen. That leads me to the second factor, comfort. Many of Teaneck's parks offer ample seating, including more comfortable benches with backs. But the seating is often near playgrounds and waiting pools that is convenient for parents and children, but not the type for social or companion seating that some older adults or others without children might prefer. Varied types of seating are especially important at times like this during a pandemic, when outdoor access is crucial to residents' physical and mental health. Seating facing one another and designed to promote social conversation might be helpful for small groups of people. Teaneck parks offer a diversity of activities, the third factor. Several, like Votee, Phelps, and Brooks, are home to adult fitness equipment, which is commendable, but there are opportunities in those and in other parks for lower intensity activity, such as bocce ball or table tennis, as well as for passive recreation, such as community gardens. The 2 new chess tables for Votee Park and pickleball court at Hawthorne are perfect examples of this, so thank you for those. And the final factor is nature. Teaneck parks are lush with greenery, but it's important that these natural areas be better maintained. Equity is lacking in the upkeep of some of these parks. Pathways into the forested areas of Argonne, for example, dead end near the entrance points. So this large section surrounded by densely developed residential areas, coupled with the lack of walking and hiking paths and poor upkeep, leaves the town a missed opportunity to connect residents of the Northeast with a valuable source of nature. We look forward to more times at the parks and enjoying their improved access, comfort, activity, and nature. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, EJ. That was exactly 3 minutes on the dot. I am now going to bring in Mr. James Veach. Mr. James Veach, let's try this again. You have 3 minutes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. I wanted to talk about Resolution 102, which the council spoke about a few minutes ago. We learned something tonight. We learned that the council never discussed this resolution, and the letter that was solicited from Assemblyman Gordon Johnson, the council didn't discuss it. The public didn't know anything about it. The mayor and the manager just sidled up to Assemblyman Johnson and said, how about a letter to the DEP asking that they ignore New Jersey state law and Green Acres regulations and give us a break in Teaneck. Now, with respect to the $2 million, the PSE&G $2 million that's coming our way, we have to do one of two things. The township has to either buy 3.37 acres of undeveloped land and dedicate it as parkland and put it on the Rossi, or we can take 3.37 acres that we already own, and dedicate that as parkland, and we'll have our $2 million. The resolution does not mention option number 2. I spoke to Assemblyman Johnson this afternoon, and he told me he can tell you that I can tell you he did not know about option number 2. Whoever worked with his staff to put together this letter was not informed that all Teaneck has to do is take 3.37 acres of the land that we own undeveloped and turn it into parkland, and the $2 million is ours. So how much open space do we have? Well, we have 47 acres of undeveloped land in Teaneck. And if you want to see it listed, go to the open space OSRP report, the plan that has yet to be approved, and go to pages 11 to 14 and go to the parcel data tables at the back, and you'll see all 47 acres listed block by lot by block by lot. So we've got the land. Now here's one example. We own 6.3 acres of undeveloped land on Shepherd Avenue near the Englewood border. It's low-lying land. It's covered with trees and deer. You could dedicate that as parkland. You could incorporate it with Argonne, and the $2 million is yours. You've got land around Continental Park that could be dedicated as parkland. You've got land around Coolidge Park that could be dedicated. You've got paper streets. You've got lots all over town. They don't have to be contiguous. But you're hiding that. You hid it from Mr. Johnson, and you're hiding it from the residents. You're showing no interest in preserving open space, and you're trying to get the Green Acres to pervert their own regulations and make an exception just for you. So here are my questions. I would like to know who drafted this ridiculous resolution. I would like to know who called.
Mr. Veach, I apologize. Your 3 minutes was up. You certainly have my email. If I missed anything, if you weren't able to fit your 3 minutes in, please email me and I will copy and paste it into your statement. I'm bringing in Mr. Alan Sohn.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Corruption is a team sport. You have a crooked contractor who makes a contribution to politicians who are on the take, and sleazy politicians willing to take the money and award the contracts. The New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission, ELEC, is designed to...
Mr. Sohn, we can't,
Oh, yeah.
the record, I can't hear anything.
Legally required forms that disclose the potential for...
I hear him.
On April 23rd of last year, the three... moving Teaneck Forward candidates, Deputy Mayor Schwartz, Councilmember Pagan, and Councilmember Organ received a $900 contribution from Michelle Dellisford, managing partner of the Nishun Group. On July 1st, 2020, little more than 2 months later, the three candidates, Schwartz, Pagan, and Organ, voted in favor of the first of 2 no-bid contracts awarded to Michelle Dellisford and the Nishun Group. This is the very definition of pay to play. This is the very definition of the kind of corruption that has contaminated this township's politics in recent years. With its July 1st contract, the Nishun Group submitted a political contribution disclosure statement, which indicated under penalty of law and her signature that there had been no reportable contributions in excess of $300 that needed to be reported. This was a lie. More than 8 months late, the Moving Teaneck Forward candidates were forced to admit that they had indeed received a $900 contribution from Michelle Dellisford. It was only because the Nishun Group falsely hid its contribution and made false statements under penalty of law, and because the Moving Teaneck Forward candidates, Schwartz, Organ, and Pagan, together with their treasurer, Gerald Reiner, had actively engaged in a cover-up that lasted almost 8 months, where they had this and more than 40 other contributions adding up to tens of thousands of dollars. It took ELEC to look into reporting violations by Moving Teaneck Forward to force them to come clean and disclose these contributions. Kim Zezerak was paid $1,500 in an apparent effort to fix the filings of an NJ ELECT audit. While Schwartz, Organ, and Pagan were involved in the original crime, it was Councilmember Kaplan and Mayor Dunleavy who tried to cover up the crime at the March 25th meeting. While both Kaplan and Dunleavy attempted to falsely claim that the $900 is less than $300 by misrepresenting the equal attribution movement, it was the mayor who has the biggest problems here. He claimed to have spoken to the attorney and stated that, quote, the Nishun Group has never executed its agreement with Teaneck, end quote. It has. The contract was signed by Michelle Dellisford for the Nishun Group and of all people by James Dunleavy for the township. Why do we have corrupt politicians with no legal training covering up crimes and telling lies when we have a fully trained and equally corrupt township attorney who's perfectly willing to lie and gets paid for the privilege? We have the 6 most corrupt council members in township history serving in office. But the one person ineligible for consideration as mayor or deputy mayor on July 1st was Javon Romney Rice. Why? Is it because she's qualified? Or that she's a Black woman? Or is it because she refused to pay the $900 bribe needed to get the job?
Sorry, Mr. Sohn, your 3 minutes was up. If we missed anything, please send it to my email and I will copy it verbatim into the minutes. I am bringing in Mr. Howard Rose. Sir Howard Rose, you must unmute, my good sir.
Hi, this is Lisa Rose talking. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Miss Lisa Rose. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. It appears to me that this is the time for the Teaneck Town Council to become totally educated, informed, and engaged in voting to bring to Teaneck community choice aggregation / community energy aggregation to lower air pollution in Teaneck and in Bergen County. Other towns such as Glen Rock, Montclair, New Brunswick have already implemented similar programs to bring bulk electricity using renewable energy, not fossil fuels, to their towns, and they are saving money. It just seems that the Teaneck community works so hard to bring justice and fairness to its residents I think that voting for community choice energy aggregation using renewable energy is a vote for environmental justice by lowering air pollution for its residents throughout Bergen County. Since Bergen County actually gets a rate of F in ozone air pollution, certified from the American Lung Association. Please, I'd like to hear that the town council is aware of renewable energy aggregate and that they're discussing it and they're trying to become educated, because the township is ready and it is justifiable, and it's your obligation to give us the chance to bring clean air through renewable energy, clean energy through renewable energy, not fossil fuels, to Bergen County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lisa Rose. I'm now bringing in Dr. Chuck Powers. You're muted, sir.
Good evening, Council. I want to go back 2 meetings to where Mr. Pagan told me, by virtue of citing my address, that I didn't know what I was talking about when it came to pay to play. And he well knows that since 2013, I probably am one of the most knowledgeable people in the entire county, having much more to do with what the township, what the county and town and state have done on that matter than virtually anyone else in that early time frame. I also took particular notice of what Mr. Dunleavy said at the beginning in talking about what needed to be done to bring the community together around adequate trust for diversity. And he said trust was the key. My problem is that in the last meeting, Mr. Dunleavy said 5 things that were not true about the Nishawan contribution, its relationship to pay to play. He cited only the township code, which is only half of it, even though he was wrong about that. And he certainly left out the fact that the state is very clear that any gift to a candidate committee or joint committee of over $300 must be reportable, and that to have given a gift of that size is to have disallowed that entity, whether the gift is given by a partner or given by the entity itself, from holding a township contract for a period of 1 entire year. And should that be violated, to be disqualified for a period of 4 years. Mr. Dunleavy says he would like to have Nishawan back. From what I can tell from their Oprah, they have absolutely no interest in having a continuing relationship with the township. I don't know whether or not the real problem here was actually with the candidate committee, because unbelievably, although they had to have made a series of reports to the state, the elect, before the election, they didn't get around to having a single number that was the same as what they had originally claimed was right in the 5 reports that they submitted to ELEC on the 21st of January, 8 months later. Is it possible that Nishawan was somehow hoodwinked into making a contribution, being guaranteed it would be okay because it wasn't going to be revealed? Or because, as Mr. Dunleavy tried to claim, the attribute rule, it's not the attribute rule, it's the attribution rule, Mr. Dunleavy has absolutely.
Dr. Powers, I apologize. Your 3 minutes was up. You have my email, sir. Please send anything to my email that you were not able to fit in. I will copy and paste and fit into the minutes. Right now, I am bringing in Sam DeFalco.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Miss Sam. You have 3 minutes.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam DeFalco, and I'm an organizer with Food and Water Watch, speaking tonight on behalf of our 1,700 members and supporters in Teaneck to ask the Teaneck Council to work with residents to pass an ordinance for 100% renewable community choice aggregation. Renewable energy aggregation program is a win for Teaneck residents and a win for our climate and environment. Through the power of bulk purchasing electricity as a community, not only can Teaneck residents source their energy from clean renewable sources without having to install solar panels or change their electricity provider, but this ordinance can even cut and stabilize the cost to residents. Just one example of this can be seen in New Brunswick, where residents have saved more than 6% on their electric supply because their council enacted a renewable energy aggregation program. Many NJ municipalities have already implemented this program and have had success. In 2020 alone, elected officials approved 100% renewable energy aggregation programs in Edison, Red Bank, and Collingswood. And we can see that this is a program residents actually want because just last fall, East Brunswick residents overwhelmingly voted to start their own renewable energy aggregation program, with 70% of voters supporting this policy. This program is also a significant way that local governments like Teaneck can take action to address the climate crisis. We know the federal government has yet to adequately address the climate crisis and facilitate a transition off of harmful fossil fuels and onto clean energy. So we need our local leaders like you all to enact smart policies like community energy aggregation as soon as possible, which will grow the overall renewable energy portfolio and lessen overall reliance on fossil fuels. The climate crisis is worsening, and as it worsens, we will see more damage from storms, floodings, and drought, and much of the cost of mitigating these efforts will unfortunately be borne by state and local municipal budgets, putting further strain on overstressed budgets in New Jersey. One way Teaneck Council can be a climate leader now is by enacting a renewable energy aggregation program. Fossil fuels are a dying industry, but renewables are the future. We urge you to enact a renewable energy program to bring clean energy at lower cost to Teaneck residents. We're very happy to continue dialoguing with you about the benefits of this program and what it would bring to Teaneck. We urge you to work with residents who have shown they want this program and pass this program now to avoid the more laborious process of a petition initiative. And we at Food and Water Watch remain more than happy to meet with the council at any time to answer any questions that you all might still have. So thank you for considering this and hope you all have a great night.
Thank you so much, Sam. Please be safe. I am now bringing in a Lillian Simon. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. If I'm not, I do apologize. Lillian.
Hi, my name is Lily, and I just want to talk to you guys today about the importance of clean energy and why we need the community choice aggregation to be passed. So clean energy is energy derived from renewable zero emission sources, as well as energy saved through energy efficiency measures. The type of power we use has a lot to do with climate change. As we know already, electricity that comes from burning coal or gas releases harmful emissions that are warming the planet. And the power plants burning these fuels also create serious pollution problems for nearby communities. Ozone pollution is especially harmful for children, older adults, and those with asthma, such as myself, and people with other lung diseases. One of the main drivers of ozone pollution is the combustion of fossil fuels. By switching to clean energy, which is already in most cases cheaper than fossil fuels, we can help create a more livable world. That is why I ask you today to vote for community choice aggregation, which creates the spur for renewable energy development. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Lillian. I'm now bringing in Gail Gordon. Gail Gordon must unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Gail Gordon, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, like most people, I want to leave this earth knowing that my children and grandchildren will have a beautiful place to live. That future is uncertain unless we do something to address climate change now. When I was a child, my family went camping in the Minnesota state parks for our summer vacations. I vividly remember swimming and fishing in the lakes and hiking on the trails. I want generations of my family and all families to enjoy the amazing planet that we are blessed with. Everyone can do something to reduce carbon emissions, which causes global warming. Our town makes it possible for us to easily recycle items. That's one thing. There are so many other things we can do. Tonight, we are asking that the council adopt an ordinance to allow community choice aggregation, which would make it possible to purchase renewable energy at a discount without changing our current electricity provider. Many other towns have done this. It would not cost us a cent. Please join our neighboring towns and adopt this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail Gordon. I'm bringing in a Luna. Luna Taveras.
Okay, yeah. Hi, my name is Luna, and I just wanted to reiterate what others have been saying about the importance of clean energy and renewable energy. So community choice aggregation is a great way to bring this to Teaneck because citizens don't need to get solar panels or change their energy provider, so it would be really accessible for many people. So since the federal government isn't doing enough to help the climate crisis, we really need our local leaders to take action by enacting smart policies like community choice aggregation. And in other towns that have implemented similar programs, they have reduced their carbon footprint significantly, improved the air quality, and saved a lot of money on their electricity bills. So this would be really beneficial to all Teaneck residents and just the environment in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Luna. I'm now bringing in Miss Debbie Eliyahu. Debbie. Hey.
Hello.
3 minutes, my friend.
Good evening to all of you. I am calling to reiterate what others are saying about the community choice aggregation. I'll make it short and sweet. Gail Gordon said that she wants to leave this earth as a beautiful place to live. I would like to say that I'd like to leave it as a place to live. I would like to leave it as an actual livable place. My first and so far only grandchild turned 1 last week, and I would like her to actually be able to grow up in an earth that is survivable. So anything that we can do is important, and not just for my children, but for all of us, and for those of us who have children and grandchildren and pets, and just for the world itself. So please, let's do what we can to save this earth. It's all we got. Thank you. Good night and be well.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm bringing in Jesse Leon. I hope I pronounced that right, Jesse. I apologize.
No problem. Hello again. I wanted to thank you all for being receptive and communicative with me about my proposal last month to allow backyard chickens in Teaneck. In your comments last month and subsequent conversations that I've had with each of you, you raised some really great issues that I wanted to address so that you have a fuller picture of the issue as you continue to consider legalizing backyard chickens. In terms of noise, in her comments last month, Councilman Romney Rice mentioned the possible issue of noise with backyard chickens disturbing neighbors. This is a common misconception that I really would like to correct. Chicken hens are very quiet. They only make noise really when they're laying an egg. Their egg song is really brief and it clocks in at about 40 decibels, the range of average human conversation. For reference, a dog barks at 90 decibels. One quick cluck from a chicken will not be a harmful addition to the suburban soundscape that we enjoy in Teaneck. If you walk out the door, you're already confronted with the much more jarring sounds of traffic noise, dogs barking, and landscapers. Roosters are really noisy, and keeping them banned is a reasonable way to make sure that no one's coop is upsetting their neighbors. In terms of the space requirements for chickens, it's very small. Chickens can be kept in dense urban areas like New York City with a population density of 27,000 people per square mile, Los Angeles with 7,000 people per square mile, and Newark with a density of almost 12,000 people per square mile. Teaneck has a population density of about 6,700 people per square mile. Many nearby municipalities that are similar in density to Teaneck or denser allow chickens. Hackensack, Ridgefield Park, Dumont, and Harrington Park all allow chickens and all have greater population densities than Teaneck. In Harrington Park, which has a population density of 25,500 people per square mile, up to 6 chickens can be kept on any lot size less than 20,000 square feet. Above that size, 10 chickens can be kept. 6 chickens, I think, is a reasonable cap in Teaneck. Our backyards can definitely accommodate more than the needs of 6 chickens. The biggest benefit of backyard chickens is obviously their eggs, but it's an even bigger benefit than you realized. According to a 2007 study conducted by Mother Jones, pasture-raised eggs may contain twice as much omega-3 fatty acids as grocery store eggs, 3 times more vitamin E, and 7 times more beta-carotene, all while they have less than 25% of saturated fat and 33% less cholesterol. Letting people raise their own chickens here will give them access to reliable, fresh, and a healthy supply of high-quality eggs. Lastly, I want to appeal to your sense of fairness. The existing ban on chickens is arbitrary. Any issues of foul smells or nuisance noise are already covered by the code. The current law does prevent Teaneck residents from lawfully enjoying their own property and supplying their families with fresh, high-quality food. Thank you for your time and consideration. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I am bringing in now Laverne Lightburn.
Hello?
Yes, Laverne Lightburn, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, darling. How are you? Hello, everyone. The reason I'm talking to you guys tonight is because our town has elected elections in May and in November, and I would like to see us move to just having elections in November. The cost is effective. Instead of us paying $60,000, we wouldn't have to pay it at all since the county is already paying it. It's also convenient. As I'm getting older, I don't like going out so much anymore. And I'm thinking that you'll get more people out to come out during that one time. Also, I wanted to talk about the chickens. I'm not pro chickens. I feel that I am in a suburb. Now we have an urban suburb, and now we're talking about a country suburb. I don't know what I live in. But anyway, with that said, I would like to have, if y'all are going to do this, what about the nuisance clause, which will address the noise, the odor, the conditions that the rodents, we have so many animals coming. We're dealing with the deers down here. We're dealing with the raccoons. We're dealing with so many things down here. And just pets and other health conditions. I want y'all to consider what happened back in the in 1997 with the H5N1. I want y'all to, with the flu, the bird flu, I want y'all to consider to read Dr. Michael Greger, spelled Greger, and the book is How to Die Due to These Pandemics. He's suggesting that there is going to be another major pandemic coming up in the future, and it's going to be caused by birds. I don't want to hear these. It's bad enough we're hearing the dogs and everything else, which I love dogs, but I want y'all to consider the health factor mainly when you're dealing with putting in these chickens, and how many. How large is the lot size going to be? Are they supposed to be domestic farm animals? Will it depend on the lot size when you'll think about this? Will you confine these pens at all times? I had a turkey fly into my backyard. I don't want to see these animals fly in. My sister almost got hurt because she was afraid that this big giant turkey was in here all of a sudden. What's going to be the distance from the neighbor's property? What about the no-kill rule for meat? There's a lot of things that people do with these chickens. Up by Teaneck, off of Selvage, there used to be a rooster that walked down every day, having those kids at the high school screaming and laughing. well, really, they were running from this rooster every single day at 3 o'clock.
Laverne, I apologize. Your 3 minutes was up. If you missed anything, please feel free to email me and I will include it verbatim in the minutes. I am now bringing in Mr. Karanji.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Great. How are you, sir? You have 3 minutes.
I'm well. I promise I'll be brief. My name is Kwan G, and I'm an adult advisor for the TNEC Youth Advisory Board. I just wanted to take a quick moment to formally thank Mayor Dunleavy, Councilmember Romney Rice, Councilmember Kaplan, our town clerk, Doug, town manager, Dean Kaczynski, for participating in our Zoom forum over the weekend, building bonds with government. The students worked really hard to put it together, and it was nice to see everyone unite from the various forms of our local government to give some insight into what you all do on a daily basis to ensure the business of our town gets done. Shameless plug, if any students or parents of students are listening, I'd encourage you to consider joining the Youth Advisory Board. You can find us on the township website and also on Facebook or Instagram at TNEC YAB. It's important to note that YAB is an organization available to any student in grades 8 through 12 that resides in TNEC. You do not have to be enrolled in the local public schools to get involved. It's a great opportunity for our youth to engage council as well as other local officials. Just because you're young doesn't mean you have to stand on the sidelines and be voiceless. As we've seen with the Black Lives Matter mural and other local youth-led movements, you can make a direct impact and shape what goes on in your community. And the Youth Advisory Board is here to support you in those endeavors. Thank you guys for the time, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
Thank you, Mr. G. That was a very fun event. I'm looking forward to the next one. I am now bringing in Miss Sandy Silverberg.
How about it, Doug? Am I coming across there?
Yeah, you sound great, Sandy. You have 3 minutes, my friend.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I wanted to let you know that the Friends of the Library has launched its readathon for any student in TNEC, whether that student is in public school or any other kind of school. Please check the library website, the Friends webpage, and the Facebook page for details on the readathon. It's a really exciting program that we're doing, and I hope that people will join in. I want to publicly thank the town manager. I had a very productive meeting with him yesterday on the phone, and he really helped to clarify some issues for me and point me in the right direction. And I'm so happy to announce that the Friends of the TNEC Public Library have partnered with the Puffin Foundation to bring, COVID permitting, summer concerts that we used to hold in the auditorium of the library, but of course we can't do that. So COVID permitting, we're going to be bringing you some summer concerts on a venue to be announced very shortly. So I wanted to thank him for all of his help and direction. This is also, if you're going to support some organizations, of course, you'll begin with the Friends of the Library. But all joking aside, folks, I wrote a kind of a check. For me, it was a big check to the ambulance corps this year. I hope I never, ever make good and, get my money's worth, contribute. It's an absolutely unbelievable organization. We are so lucky to have them. So I urge you to do that. In terms of chickens, well, I know there's lots of chickens out there, and there's also lots of turkeys. And I think I'm talking about not exactly the same thing, but there are so many deer and so much tick problem now. And if there's feed around, even from bird feeders, mice come, rodents come. It's part of the life cycle of ticks. It's it's gotten to be a really dangerous level. I have a neighbor with a lot next to me that is not kept, and there are 6. The herd has wholeheartedly the community choice aggregation for energy. I think it's not an issue. You see, it's a lot of young people, but it's also a lot of old folks And where are you all in the middle on this issue? You know, it's more important for you, but it seems to me like the two ends of the spectrum are involved. Again, I want to thank everybody who's been.
Sandy, my friend, I apologize. You were past the 3 minutes. Please don't take it personal. You know that is not the case. If I could not fit your entire statement in that 3 minutes, please send me an email and I'll be sure to copy it verbatim. I am bringing in now John Moscow. I apologize, John Moscow.
That's fine. My name is John Moscow, and I want to speak to support what everyone has said so far in support of community choice aggregation. I was startled to learn, which I hadn't known from when Paula was speaking, that there's been this ongoing communication with the council and effort to get the council to endorse it and pass a resolution, apparently without success. And that's why people have had to go to the route of petition signing. It seems to me that this is a win-win. I mean, we all need the planet. We all would like lower utility bills. We would all like clean air. And I really don't, and it seems to me that this would be something that would cut across all the various political lines in Teaneck. I mean, who's against any of those things? So I guess I'd be really interested, and I hope that you will really respond and not just sort of say thank you and then, you know, move on to the next item of business when everyone's done speaking. I would really like to hear from each of you as council members what your thoughts are on this and what your reasoning is for not supporting it. And even more, of course, I'd like to see you decide to support it. So thank you.
Thank you, John. I am now bringing in Dr. Ken Hoffman. Dr. Ken Hoffman, the one, the only.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting there. Start video. There we go.
There he is. There he is. You
There
have
I
3
can-
minutes, sir.
Okay, hello from Newport, Rhode Island. I wanted to speak first as chair of the PPRAB and the Municipal Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board and dealing with the age-friendly Teaneck and the Senior Citizens Advisory Board presented tonight. Clearly, these are areas that Township Manager Kaczynski, Superintendent Crockett, and the council are well aware of. One can look at the PPRAB and most presentations that were done in December and January and listen to Dean presenting the budget for council's consideration. And we are well on the way of improving our passive as well as active exercise and recreational activities for people of all ages. So I thank the speaker, the chair for administrator for bringing this back to the council. And I hope that once the budget is seen, she'll be happy with the results that will be occurring. Secondly, I want to thank Mr. Jim Veach for bringing to our attention the issue of the PSE&G money for the Township of Teaneck. This was also something I was not aware of, and certainly will be something I will take under advisement and investigate and discuss with others. So I thank Jim very much for bringing this to our attention. Thirdly, to Dr. Dunleavy, our mayor, to John Shadanian, our township attorney, and to the members of our council, none of whom I think are corrupt. I think over the last few months, we have heard a lot about pay to play. I think it takes away from the work of our council and from our people in the community who can certainly help us get our township better. And if there really is a problem, then send your complaint to wherever it's supposed to go. I mean, is it the state of New Jersey Attorney General's office? Is it the elections office? Is it the Bergen County prosecutor? And let the legal system do what it's supposed to do, which to investigate the complaint and come to a decision. But clearly, in my mind, it is time to move on and allow the experts in the legal system to come to a decision and see who is right and who is wrong. Finally, I want to thank DPW. I want to thank Doug and council for their help. The fields for Teaneck Junior Football, Teaneck Southern Little League, Teaneck TBO, Teaneck Junior Soccer League are all being used at Devotee Sportsplex, at Devotee Park, and then soon to be at Hawthorne Field, and for protecting who I call the new official bird of Teaneck, the killdeer, who's on Soccer South with 4 eggs, and probably will come back next year because that's the way they do things. So in summary, I thank you all. And please, for those who are concerned that something is being done illegally, report it to the proper authorities, and let's move on and make Teaneck a better place for all. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Doctor. It was a pleasure to hear from you. I am now bringing in Shulamite Schwell. I really apologize if I did not pronounce that properly.
Yes, hi. Thank you. It's Shulamit. No problem. I wanted to voice my support for the backyard chickens. Mostly because chickens make great pets, first of all. And I see a lot of dogs in Teaneck and of course in other towns. And I also see they leave things on the streets, on the sidewalks. They're definitely not beneficial in that sense, but they also make good companions. So chickens, on the other hand, they leave their excrements in the backyard where it's actually beneficial to the property, to the grass, and it actually improves the soil. I understand that in Teaneck, soil and water retention kind of a thing is a problem. It will help with that. That's number one. Number two, there are a lot of ticks in the area. Animals in general carry ticks, and chickens eat ticks. So it's actually, I believe, one of the few animals that are helpful in that regard. So it will help with the Lyme disease. There are a lot of deer in the area, raccoons, rabbits, they all carry Lyme disease, and it's helpful to have something that will actually eat those ticks and help prevent the Lyme disease. Also, some people have mentioned things like it's noisy. We're talking about just hens. So hens don't really make noise. They're no louder than people talking outside. If you're sitting outside, you'll hear all kinds of sounds. You'll hear lawnmower, you'll hear dogs barking, cars going by. It's not any louder than that. And also, I'm not sure what the council is thinking, but I don't think it would be fair to require people to ask the neighbors how they feel. You know, is it okay if I get chickens? I don't think that would be fair. You don't do that with dogs. And, you know, if they're pets, then they should be treated as pets the way you would treat a dog owner. You know, if I wanted to get a dog, I don't need to get permission from the whole block. Or in the same way, you know, if somebody wants to have a party next door, nobody asks, oh, is it okay for me to have a party? You know, it's going to be noisy, or, you know, that's a lot louder than having chickens. Or I'm going to have a construction, I'm remodeling. Is that okay? Nobody asks that. You just go and do it, right? You just ask the town. So I don't think it would be fair to require, you know, chicken owners wannabe to, you know, have to get permission. That's what I wanted to say. If there's anything that people want to ask, I'm happy to answer. If there's anything that I can answer.
Ms. Schwell, you were over the 3 minutes. If you were unable to fit all your comments into that 3 minutes, then feel free to email me, clerk@teanecknj.gov, and I will copy and paste your statement into the minutes. I'm now bringing in Adam Gussing.
Good evening.
Hello, Adam Gussing. 3 minutes, good sir.
I wanted to I wanted to address council tonight on the issue of backyard chickens. And I think one thing that's important to keep in mind, this is not something that residents should have to appeal for permission for. When council, whether it's this council or ones that have come before it, have decided to limit the rights of residents, council needs to justify that decision. It's not the residents that need to come to you with evidence to justify exercising what ought to be a right. And I think that's something that council members should really think deeply about. As other speakers have mentioned, you can get a permit for a dog, but the dog can be a nuisance for years and years. Dogs are significantly louder than chickens. We know that the science behind whether it's eating infectious insects, fertilizing soil, providing a connection to our food source, health and safe environments around us, that there's myriad ways in which residents of Teaneck either disturb the peace or disturb our environment on a regular basis that are not prohibited, with all of the benefits associated with backyard chickens and none of the detriments that are real. I think council needs to justify a position for keeping this prohibition on the books.
Are we banking the rest of your time, Mr. Gussing?
No, I would just like to also, since no one else has recognized me as such, I would like to be recognized
Former
as
Deputy
former Deputy
Mayor
Mayor
Gussin.
and not Mr. Gussin. And that's the Honorable Mr. Gussin. Thank
I'm sorry, former Deputy Mayor, Honorable Mr. Gussing. That was before my time. It's nice to virtually meet you.
Same.
And Adam knows chickens.
The entire life cycle, from when we learned about hatching chicks at the McFall Environmental Center as elementary school students in Teaneck going back 40 years, to how to butcher and cook them today, and everywhere in between. Although obviously no one's advocating for backyard butchering, at least not yet. So I appreciate the time that you've allowed me this evening, and I just urge council to allow the residents of Teaneck to exercise rights that neighbors across Bergen County have, that neighbors across the state have, and join the modern era in terms of feeling a connection to our food system. Fresh eggs are just an amazing thing to use as a stepping stone for that connection to our food system. And obviously, a year ago in quarantine, when people couldn't get to markets, when people were scared about the reliability of their food supply, some things that we can do to empower and provide autonomy for ourselves and for our neighbors is essential. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have another hand here. It's coming up as call-in user number 2. Unfortunately, I can't put that in the record. Please state your name for the record. Call-in user 2. Call-in user 2. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, call-in user 2. Please state your name for the record.
Margaret Baker?
Margaret Baker, you have 3 minutes, Ms. Baker.
Yes, I'm calling with a serious complaint to the town. I live on Decatur Avenue and we get no service from the town at all. The streets haven't been swept this year. I called last summer, about trees that were rotten and was a home to rats. Could someone come out and check? I also called the health department for the same problem. No one has come out to check. We are the one block of Teaneck that's on Decatur Avenue, nearest Route 4. We get no general service from the township. The only time we hear anything is when you want to put up a building on Alfred Avenue. Well, before you really get serious, I would welcome any member of the council to come out and see what we are going through. We live here now. Don't tell me if you build the apartment building, we'll do this. We are here now, and I think we deserve to have the same privileges as the rest of the residents in Teaneck. So I've been calling DPW, the building department, the manager, and I even think I talked to you, Doug, and no one comes out or you see no results. I called last week about the street sweeping. Oh, are you sure? Yes, Wednesday is the day for this area. You know what happened today, Tuesday? The sweeper came out, but he didn't sweep Decatur. He swept Alfred and went back under the bridge. So why isn't that general service being afforded to us, the 8 residents, the 8 homes that are here in this one block of Decatur? So I welcome any member of the council to come out and see what I'm talking about. I'm home every day.
Thank you, Margaret. Your 3 minutes was up. I'm now bringing in Roosevelt Sills. Roosevelt Sills must unmute. Roosevelt Sills must unmute. Roosevelt Sills must unmute. Mr. Sills, I apologize. Seems like you're having some technical difficulties there going once. Oh, I see your hand is raised. That works good. Can you unmute yourself? It's typically the bottom left button of your Zoom screen. If you're on the phone, it might be *6, might be *9.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. How you doing?
Great. You have 3 minutes, Mr. Sills. Oh. I meant to mute myself and I muted you, Mr. Sills. I'm sorry. Unmute yourself again. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I guess it meant for me to talk then, I guess.
No, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Good evening. My name is Roosevelt Sills. I'm a member of the Senior Advisory Board, and I highly support the Teaneck Age-Friendly Group Initiative and their team. I really like to thank our manager and the town council. And also, I'd like to thank the Park and Recreation, Mr. Hoffman, for all what they had done and working with the parks. But I would like to just cover some of the things. Most of what I'm going to talk about is also in the report that the Teaneck Age Friendly have submitted. But I'd just like to go over some of the things that I think that are very important that I had discussed with some of the residents. And also we discussed with the Teaneck Age Friendly, which they put in the report, some of it. But let me get started. Boutique Park is one of the areas that is such a fine, excellent park. And we think that lighting is very still important for that park, especially on the east side, on Palisades Avenue side. And we've been talking about it for several years. And I did meet with the town manager, and they had requested the engineer to do some kind of study on what kind of lighting possible that we can put over there, I guess to fit the budget. that'll be good for the park. But we still is looking forward to bringing that to Boutique Park, which is an excellent park. The next park is Brooks Park. It's old Triumph Park, which in the northeast area, where most of the people who leave that area is a large population of seniors, which the park is located right outside their back door or on their side door, what they can use instead of going to Boutique Park, where the parking is getting very crowded now because everybody's using the outdoors during the later days. And everybody go to Boutique Park because it's such a fine state-of-art park, which they have good walking, the blacktop, hardtop. But these neighborhood parks such as Phelps Park, Brooks Park, which is, I understand, was created in 1994, back in the 90s. And it had no work, I was told, had been done to that park, which is a gravel park, which all the grass is growing through it. It needs to be hardtop so they can be age friendly. And also the bathroom there in that area, because there's so many amenities have been added to that park and enhancing of the park, baseball, children play area, gym area, splash, like for the kids to play in the water. I think we need to start now to look at enhancing that to some kind of marginal bathroom, or keep the outdoor toilet, portable toilets there year round, because it's a beautiful park. But I think the most important part is the entrance and the hard top of that pathway or track should be hard top, and the bathroom area there.
Mr. Sills, I do apologize. Your 3 minutes was up. If I missed anything, please email it to me. You have my email. I will put it in the minutes. Mayor, at this time, I do not see any other hands.
Okay, thank you, Doug. So we'll close good and welfare for this evening. And we'll move on to comments from council. I think I'll switch back. We'll start to my right, Councilmember Rice.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I always want to thank all the residents that come out to exercise their right to free speech and engage in making Teaneck a better place, especially our youth who spoke out tonight. Thank you for your voices. I also just want to take a moment to thank again those students and members who created a home for the Black Lives Mural Matter. The mural, recent national events highlight the need for that sacred space to be able to gather. I'm sure we'll be having another vigil to commemorate and say farewell to another young Black life that was killed just recently. I do want to say thank you to all the folks that spoke out about the CCA. I understand that it's a great concept. It seems great. Who wouldn't want to have input on our climate and clean energy? But it seems like there's a lot of devil in the details. But I would like to find out how, for many of us who are passionate about this issue, how do we find out, how do we come to some type of medium where it benefits all? There seems to be a lot of challenges with this, but I feel like whether we further discuss this in the Environmental Commission or task force, there's got to be some way that we can have some conversation about preparing our community for the future. I wrote down the name of that book about the bird flu. I thought that was quite interesting, about the birds, the chickens. I think that we should have them over in Overpeck and have some kind of community, just as we have a community garden, have a community chicken coop. That would be my suggestion. But also just want to say that I look forward to making sure that with the PSE&G resources, that it's done in a way that benefits all of our community, that we use that $2 million to the best possible usage. Again, where we can protect our open space, but also ensuring that our parks that we discussed tonight are fitted with universal designs to benefit all ages. And Margaret, over there by Decatur Avenue, I will be taking a ride over there because I know that Alfred Avenue, oftentimes we get complaints about garbage and being used as a dumping ground. So would like to try to find out how we can ensure that that space does not get forgotten. Thank you. That concludes my statements. I yield the balance of my time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice. Councilmember Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Holy Name Medical Center and their staff, as well as our township staff, especially Tom Rowe, for everything they have done to make the vaccination site at the Rhoda Center so successful. Vaccinating more than 127,000 people at our community center is a tremendous accomplishment. And I know that we will keep that partnership going forward until we defeat this dangerous virus, so that we can help as many people as possible. And to all of the Muslim families across Teaneck who are observing Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem. Ramadan is a time when Muslims recommit themselves to their faith, following days of discipline with nights of gratitude for the gifts that God bestows. It is a time of spiritual renewal and a reminder of one's duty to our fellow man, and that is to serve one another and to lift up the less fortunate. The Quran teaches that God's children should tread gently upon the earth, and when confronted by ignorance, to reply with peace. So in honoring of these familiar values together of peace and charity and forgiveness, we reaffirm in Teaneck that whatever our faith, we are all one family. So it is our hope that each of our Muslim residents in Teaneck have a peaceful Ramadan. Thank you, Mayor. That's my time.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan. Well said. Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to send a special Ramadan Kareem message to our Muslim residents who just started Ramadan the other day. I want to thank the youth advisors and particularly the youth that came from the YAB for the civics event this past Sunday. For those interested in town and how it operates, there are videos available on the town Facebook page and some other locations. Regarding chickens, look, as I've said in the past, I am happy to work on it. I just need 4 nodding heads from my colleagues. So if anybody is interested, feel free to email me or get me your support, and I will start working on something there. I also wanted to chat for a little bit about community choice aggregation, the CCA that several people spoke about. I'm in favor of the concept of community choice aggregation. That said, I have some minor reservations, and in the interest of full transparency, I want to mention them to the council before we take action. As has been mentioned, Maplewood is really leading the charge on the SEA in our area. The SEA is the Sustainable Essex Alliance. It's a bunch of towns, and their actual experience is detailed in full on their website. I'll post it in the comments just so people can see it. I also recommend anybody just search for Maplewood Community Choice Aggregation. I think it's the first link that comes up. It basically uses the power of leveraging everyone's purchasing power to get better options than you'd typically find for quote unquote clean energy. And I say it that way because Paula Rogovan was correct. Would we see cleaner air in Teaneck? No. It's not a program that makes electricity flowing to your house come from clean sources. Instead, it allows what are called RECs, renewable energy credits, to get purchased from other locations throughout the country that produce the electricity there. That's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I wish they'd actually do the clean energy here, but anyone making more clean energy anywhere is a good thing in and of itself. So even if it's just a paper win, there's some clean energy out there. And, I'm a believer in innovation. If it would help to spur it, I'm all for it. So what's the downside, right? Some is ministerial. The program comes with a bit of confusion. It starts with an opt-out to everybody by mailing. We have 10,000 residential homes in town. They're all going to get a letter about energy changes, and that'll cause a certain amount of confusion on its own. And to help, Maplewood and other communities started doing community programming. They educate the public, and we should consider, if we go for this, the ancillary issues involved and how we educate people. And the Maplewood site also notes residents should, quote, expect solicitations from other energy providers. That's where it gets a little more confusing, because now everybody tries to capitalize on this to get you to purchase from them. Honestly, if that was it, I'd be okay with it. But another issue Maplewood discovered, happened this year when their first round ended. So this is what it says on their site, word for word. The contract with Direct Energy ran from July 2019 through December 2020. In September 2020, the SEA went out to bid for a new energy supplier, hoping to secure consecutive contracts. Because pricing on those bids was not favorable, the SEA rejected them. When our contract with Direct Energy ended in December 2020, PSE&G sent out letters in December explaining it would again serve as the default energy supplier. On November 4th, 2020, after observing that market improvements happened, the SEA accepted new bids for round 2 of the program. The new bids were indeed significantly improved. Long story short, they went back to it. So you have the situation where they go to CCA, they can't get a second bid because the market conditions change. They flip-flop back to PSE&G. Then they go out for bids again. They go back to a new energy supplier. Each time it comes with an opt-out period for everyone in town. And my concern is that if we can figure out a way to do this long-term sustainably that, we know it would happen, that's great. For a place like Teaneck, where communication is so hard, we can't get people to sign up for emails for town things that affect them on a day-to-day basis. I worry that this is going to be a long saga that, at the end of the day, doesn't actually create clean energy in town. So if we can iron out those wrinkles, I'm all for it. But those are the kinds of things that make me a little bit nervous. And again, I'll throw the link in. I am not against CCA. I am actually quite for it, but I'd like people to get a sense of what we're talking about so that we can speak to it in a knowledgeable way.
Thank you, Councilman Kaplan. Councilmember Organ.
Thank you. To Dr. Hoffman and the PPREB and to Dean, it was great to hear all the initiatives that we have going on in our parks right now. To EJ Vizzi, I read the report from Age Friendly Teaneck. I watched the presentation from Dr. Silver, and I love the idea of a park inventory, and Dr. Huffman and I need to get together and go look at the parks. I feel there should be something in each park for seniors. I think safety is access safety is the most important thing. Mr. Sills was speaking about lighting and good pathways and seating areas. Everybody moved outside during COVID and a lot of seniors were isolated. A lot of them don't have the technology that everybody else had, and to have a place to go and to congregate is so important right now. So to me, I think before we make another decision about a park, we should go look at all of them, even if we only do 2 a year. We should have a master plan of parks and decide what we're doing in each park, what each park needs. But there's no reason, it's not expensive, that there can't be an area in each park to accommodate seniors that want to leave their houses and find a place to go congregate. And to Roosevelt, thank you for the email about the food pantry. I'm really happy to hear that the manager and Deputy Mayor Katz are meeting to discuss it. This might be a great place to shout out to anyone that has space available now that they might be able to move into once they lose their home, if they would want to contact us. Community choice aggregation. I'm not so sure I'm against a referendum. I think something that our residents might have to opt out of at one point might deserve for them to be heard on the issue. I don't like something that is enforced on everybody and then they would have to opt out of it. So I'm not so sure I'm against the referendum, but I'm happy to hear from everybody. Youth Advisory Board, I'm just curious to know if we need somebody. I know Mr. G was asking about people joining. I'm not sure if there are seats open there. If they are, I'd like to know. To Sandy Silverberg, I have a thank you from the president of the Ambulance Corps for your shout out and the information we were missing before. It's Post Office Box 32. They're located at 855 Windsor Road, and anybody wishing to donate online, teaneckambulance.org. And of course, we thank them for their service always. To Jesse Leon and everybody who spoke about chickens, I like listening to Mr. Leon speak. There's just something about the information that and the way he presents it. I think it's time maybe for us to speak to Mr. Catter. Keith, if you want, I'll get together with you on that and we could see his feelings on that. And to Councilwoman Romney Rice, if you want some company going to look at Ms. Baker's house, I'm happy to join you. And that is all.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Morgan. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much on a few items. First of all, I'd like to thank the Honorable Deputy Mayor Guston for all his details as it relates to chickens. There's actually a YouTube video that discusses Deputy Mayor Guston's chicken knowledge. But I believe I'm in favor of this based on everyone that's reached out to me based on my request when I did not know much about it over the last 4 weeks. And so that does now have my support. As it relates to Decatur, I was down on the site about 2 weeks ago with Deputy Mayor Katz and Councilwoman Organ. Didn't see the issues going on that was discussed, but I am very concerned about the residents' comments that she was not getting phone calls back. And I think, Doug, she said she spoke with you. So, Mr. Clerk, if you could please reach out to her and see what her concerns are as it relates to being the responsive aspect. I think that for me is extremely important. As it relates to the CCA, if you want to buy your energy from a third party, buy your energy from a third party. I've been dealing with this for 20 years in regards to energy. It started in the late 90s. I believe deregulation started in 1997. But to sit here and ask us to force everyone to switch, and then they can then opt out, like Councilmember Kaplan says, we can't get them to sign up for an email list. That will cause mass chaos. If you want to go ahead and make those changes on your own for yourself, please go ahead. For my opinion, this matter is done in my book, so I'm actually going to cross it off my list. Lastly, as it relates to the Mr. Veach's comments on the dedicated land, that we should go ahead and we should go ahead and tie up additional vacant land with the state, take it out of our control. I would rather get my waiver and spend that money on the parks, such as the items that Sergeant Major Sills discussed, to spend it on the toilets that in every park that Councilman Kaplan has discussed, and not have to tie up more land with the state in order to get that same money. So with that, I look forward to that resolution to the governor and pushing for that waiver. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yeah, in regards to the community choice, I have to agree with what some of the members of the council said. I think altruistically, it sounds like a wonderful idea. I think the way it's being executed to the residents with the confusion and they have to opt out versus opt in is not necessarily the best idea. And like Councilmember Rice said, the devil's in the details. I don't think anyone's against the concept of cleaner energy. I think it's a matter of the maybe savings, maybe not savings, and forcing Teaneck residents, and they get surprised. As far as Decatur, Ms. Baker, yeah, I was going to mention that Councilmember Organ and Deputy Mayor Schwartz and I actually walked that area and specifically looked around and admired some of those properties. But as it was mentioned, you should absolutely get a response. And I hope that after tonight that it will be addressed a little bit better. And as far as the chickens, I mentioned it at the last time it was brought up. It sounds like a far-fetched idea, but the truth be told is, well, who knows? Maybe there's no issues. Why not try it? And let's see how it goes. I think it's, I've never gotten so many requests for this chickens like we have in the last few years. And I think it's worth a try, so that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Katz. I just have a few comments of my own. First off, I do want to thank the Youth Advisory Board for holding the civics Zoom presentation. I think it was very well received. I hope in future years when they run it, we get even more students and youngsters from TNEC to attend, so they have a better understanding of the governing of this town, as well as how governance works throughout this country. In terms of the aggregation, again, I did hear some people say, you know, well, why is the council against it? Council hasn't taken a position. We're not against it. What we are doing is something that someone mentioned, and that is educating ourselves to it. But we are also trying to dig deep into the details to see whether or not it's going to fit for our town. And I have some similar concerns as some of my council colleagues here, in terms of forcing the opt-in, the opt-out. I have concerns about really, are we really going to be getting that percentage supply of electricity from renewable, sustainable sources? I've seen situations where they promise 30–40% and it goes down to 5%, if that. And then also, what is the amount of savings that the residents are going to receive from this, relative to the potential angst of having to opt out, switch back, have the contract go away, have to get a new contract. So there's a lot of things we have to think about. I too would be open to a referendum, because again, this is going to happen to the people of TNEC, and so they should have a clear understanding of what it is that this is all about, and to vote accordingly. So we're going to continue to talk here on council about it, see if we can come to a conclusion on how to go forward as a council. But I can certainly tell you that this issue is not dead, and we are not necessarily against it. Okay. Mr. Veach, please send me that list of land. I would like to take a close look so I can report back on exactly what that land is and what could or could not be done. But understand, regardless of what happens with the DEP letter and whether or not we get a waiver on how we use that money, we have most money that we could buy land now if available. And we've tried several times to buy a couple of pieces of land, but the people who own them don't want to sell them. So it's not for want of trying. And the fact that if we do get a waiver, it doesn't mean that we still can't utilize the money to purchase land if something became available that we're not aware of at this time. But please send me that list, and we'll take a look at it. And finally, Mr. Powers, again, I think Dr. Hoffman said it best. File a complaint, okay? We've given everybody all the truthful information about this situation. And I just, for the life of me, for other reasons, don't understand why you keep coming back and demean these individuals who have put themselves out here to serve this town. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think you had your say. I think everybody has heard it, okay? But what I would like the last word on this to be is a legal word, again. And so I'm going to ask counsel, Mr. Shedanian, to again explain the law, both the state and our law here in town, so that everybody is clear on what did not happen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I don't want to belabor it because the hour is growing late. But I want to just, indicate how ludicrous it is that Mr. Powers, ex-councilman Sohn, portend and hold themselves out to be experts on ELEC and on fundraising laws and laws related to campaign expenditures. This is a serious endeavor, being involved in it. Something I've been involved in for more than 20 years. I've had election cases. I've had ELEC cases. I've handled matters before ELEC. This is absolutely outrageous when people come to meetings and make accusations that have no basis in law and no basis in fact. And that's what we continue to hear. And in addition to having ex-councilman Sohn's background constantly flashing, it was incredibly distracting and inappropriate as well. But to the substance of the issue, what is being mistaken is that the fact that that this entity, the Nishwain Group, signed a document indicating that they would serve as the alternate planner for the town, but they never signed a contract. They never signed any contract with the town for any particular job or work, and they haven't been paid a penny. So the fact that there is a allegation regarding them is ludicrous, like I said earlier, and that's the right word for it. It's outrageous, and it shows the lack of knowledge of the individuals who are making the comments. Because under the ELEC regulations, there is something called the equal attribution rule, and it does pertain to the amount of money that you're allowed to contribute to a single candidate. But in this particular case, when there is a joint candidate committee, when there are 3 candidates, the corollary to that, and what they teach you when you go to law school, and had Dr. Powers or had ex-Councilman Sohn ever gone to law school, they would have learned that. They teach them that a concept called in pari materia, which means that you have to read statutes together. You can't read them individually. And there's a separate section of the ELEC statute that indicates that you have a $300 contribution limit. But if there's a $300 contribution limit and you're allowed to have 3 candidates together in one entity called a joint candidate committee, that means that all 3 of them can receive $300. Otherwise, they wouldn't have created it. I mean, it would make no sense. It's illogical. And as such as their argument. So to the point that Dr. Hoffman made, which I think was a very good point, if somebody has a complaint, make the complaint, file the complaint. I'm comfortable based on my review that there hasn't been a violation of the township's pay-to-play regulations or policies, and that everything that was done was above board. And more importantly, the Nishwain Group hasn't done any work for the township. So there's really no issue here at all. And it's something, as the phrase goes, it's beating of the dead horse. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, John. I just, again, I feel it's very important to have people hear the truth as the last word. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. Township Clerk, please read the amount of the bill list.
The bill list that we are considering this evening, $8,322,025.10.
So moved, Schwartz.
Okay, you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Does anybody want to pull anything from consent agenda for discussion?
Question, Mr. Mayor, are we adding the proposed resolution as an additional resolution to this agenda?
Yeah, it's including 100, 101, and 102, which is all those proposed resolutions on the council listed items section of your agenda, excluding the Star of David display, which will be considered at our following council meeting via resolution.
Correct. Okay.
So again, this consent agenda is for the bill list in the aforementioned amount. I believe we actually have some raffles for the first time in a long time on there. We have a lot of minutes and we have resolutions 84 through 102-2021 and the bill list.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Councilwoman Rami Rice.
I'm sorry, can we pull that resolution? Did you say it was 100?
Which one?
The one with regard to the PSENG.
I'm
sorry, I'm looking at our hard copy, which I know always there's many reiterations from our hard copy that we receive. I just like the paper. So I'm just trying to catch up with the electronic version.
The resolution that you're mentioning, if it's about endorsing the letter sent by Gordon Johnson to Green Acres about the PSENG matter, that turned into resolution 102-2021 tonight.
Thank you for that. Yes, that's the one I would like to pull.
All right, hang on.
102. Any other? Okay. So
then we have a first and second on everything but 102.
Correct.
Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes, with an abstention on the bills list.
Councilman Magan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
yes, but I'm gonna abstain on the bills list and on all the resolutions except for 95-2021.
Hang on.
Abstain on that 95-2021
You're abstaining on all resos except 95.
and the bills list.
Except 95. Sorry, we're all over the map here. Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes, with recusal on 98-2021.
JD. Sorry. Okay. All that stuff is squared away, and we have the one resolution pulled by Councilwoman Rami Rice. That's 102-2021. That's the one supporting the letter from Gordon Johnson.
Discussion?
Discussion. You pulled it.
You pulled it.
You pulled
Yes. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that I just didn't feel that there was enough supporting documentation or input from council as a whole to this particular resolution, and I just want to abstain from this.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 102-2021.
Right.
Second.
Yeah, I was waiting for that prior to discussion, but regardless.
Pulled it, council member. I thought you wanted to discuss it.
But I usually thought that the discussion comes after the
No.
first and second. We usually do introduce it, second, and then to have discussion.
The purpose of the consent agenda is for the benefit of the public as well, is that you can pull things that you want discussed. Otherwise, they would be included in the consent agenda. Otherwise, you made the motion and the second on the consent agenda and then could discuss it then. The point of pulling was specifically for discussion, but it's fine either way.
Abstain from here, Councilwoman Rami Rice?
Yes.
Okay, John, is it okay that I reflect the agenda accordingly, that the councilwoman is just abstaining, and then I don't need to pull it from the consent agenda and format the agenda differently? Is that all right?
If she's consenting to that, yes.
Is that cool, Councilwoman?
Yes.
All right, most radical. Thank you.
All right, so. All right,
And you will reflect my comments as well, Doug?
Absolutely.
all right. I don't see anything under introduction of ordinances.
Believe it
So
or not, Mayor, the agenda is done for tonight.
it's done.
Can I just thank everybody for the passing ordinance resolution 95-2021 recognizing the Armenian genocide. I just wanted to thank the council for doing that. I thought, and Councilman Kaplan especially, for introducing it.
As embarrassing it is that this has not been recognized for the last century.
And
I learned a
We
lot.
have typically recognized it each year.
I mean,
since
the
I've been
world,
here.
the world does, yeah, the world.
I learned
Okay.
a lot reading it.
Do I
Yes.
hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Night.
Aye.
Good night, be safe.